Good, Ted. Good evening. I'd like to call the Destin Fire Control District Board of Fire Commissioners meeting to order. We're at 848 Airport Road here in Destin, July 14th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is open to the public, but let me first read this. It's pursuant to the provisions of Section 286.011, the Florida statutes and Governor DeSantis' Executive Order 20-69, in which the governor declared a public health emergency and a state of emergency. There is a recommendation to limit public gatherings. Due to the limited seating capacity, this meeting has been aired on our YouTube live channel at Destin Fire Rescue YouTube for the public to view or listen to. For the record, our Commissioner Buckingham is absent, and he'll probably show up late. Chief, employee recognition.
Yes, sir. We have 3 employees we'd like to recognize. Obviously, with the pandemic, we're not bringing them in as we have in the past. But we do have 3 that we'd like to recognize, at least on the record. The first, I want to, at the last meeting, I didn't recognize, but I stated there was one I didn't recognize who it was, Firefighter Pivas. He successfully made it off probation. He's now part of the family as of last month. So congratulations to him for completing his probation. Engineer Reese Swartz attained his 20 years, so awesome. He just obtained his 20. So we want to recognize him for his completion of his 20 years. That's a lot of time to be with the district.
Station 9, give me your Charlie response for a sick call 202 Harbor Boulevard, Dewey Destin, Harborside Seafood Restaurant, 1732.
And I'd also like to recognize Firefighter Clark. With the departure of one of our firefighters leaving and taking a job elsewhere, engineers, created a position of engineer, and Firefighter Clark was promoted to the rank of engineer. Firefighter Clark comes to us from Lake Mary.
Lake Mary Jane?
Right, down south around Orlando, and with eight years of experience, and previously driven, already had his pump operator certification and that kind of stuff. So it's really good fit to have somebody with some experience we have to kind of put in that position right now, because we have so many new people that we're trying to get up to speed as far as driving trucks and those kind of things. To have somebody that's kind of got a little seasoning behind them really works in the district's favor. So we'd like to recognize Engineer Clark now as being promoted to that position. And that will be the 3 this month. I will appropriately recognize them on their shifts in front of their peers for their accomplishments. And at some point, once this pandemic clears, where we can bring them in, I'd like to bring those that we recognize officially back so that the board can actually shake their hands and meet them.
That'd be nice, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to public comments. At this time, the floor is open for any public comments. Did we get any emails or anything?
No, we did not.
Okay. Seeing none, the floor is now closed for public comments. Review the regular meeting minutes, June 9th, 2020.
Move to approve the minutes of June 9th, 2020. Second.
Got a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, the review of the financial report, June 30th, 2020. Catherine.
The financial statement before you through June 30th. We're at 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year. The majority of ad valorem taxes are now collected. Accounts receivable are in line. We did receive a large payment from Okaloosa County, so they're getting caught up on their receivable, on their payments. Fixed assets have been adjusted for capital expenditures, acquisitions so far this year. We did receive an $8,000 FEMA public assistance grant that was to reimburse us for costs that we expended during Hurricane Dorian. So those funds have come in. And as far as expenditures, we do have We will need to make a year-end budget adjustment for small equipment. This is for equipment under $1,000. The boat, due to replacing items on the boat and the purchase of thermal image cameras that came in at a cost substantially less than what we anticipated them. We thought they would be a capital expenditure, so that's just going to be a shifting of $7,000 for that. So that'll be presented at the September meeting at our last fiscal year meeting. Other than that, the financials are in line, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Move we approve the financials on June 30, 2020.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Unanimous. Moving into old business, the West End District Station Chief.
Yes, sir, as the board's aware, as I've reached out and spoken with each board member, there will be the city is conducting a workshop on the 27th at 5:30. We have advertised that so that all the board members, all of our board members can attend that city meeting and be able to speak freely. But that workshop is about the fire station going to Clement Taylor Park. So I would anticipate once that workshop is conducted, that at some point in the future after that, it will be placed on the city's regular agenda, and then they'll be either have that third reading and vote to approve or not approve, or second. So,
Yeah.
Do we get the guidelines yet for that workshop? Like how long is it? An hour, 2 hours, a half hour?
I'm not sure how long they have scheduled for it. As with most city meetings, I don't think they put a time limit, and it'll probably be but I can check and get all that provided to you, but as most of their meetings are, they can drag on and probably for a period of time.
Is that just before the regular council meeting, or is it, so that we got a limited amount of time to speak, or is it? No.
I think it's just a workshop.
I think it's
just
a
for us.
workshop that's stand independent on that day. I don't think it's going to be following this, like the city council meeting as you've seen before. So I think it's a standalone workshop.
There are folks obviously encouraging others to attend that. Do we have any idea who develops the agenda? Does the city do that, city manager, us?
It's going to be, I'm sure, the city manager or someone has developed the agenda.
It is a city council workshop.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's not ours. No, the only reason we advertise it is so that you could speak, all of you could speak freely. It's their meeting. We just advertise your attendance so that you can speak.
So there won't be any issues with us all being together there and speaking.
I can let DC speak to that, but no, sir, I don't believe so. It's recently advertised.
Yeah, once we have
The sunshine law violation, because they look for anything that can get us.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a concern of mine was, would it be a sunshine law violation for us to be there together and to speak on something that we're going to vote on or, whatever.
To make the board feel a little bit more comfortable, so to give a benchmark or something to compare it to is when the commission wanted to attend or have a dual meeting with the trustees on the retirement board and ask those questions. We did the same thing there. We advertised it. It wasn't the board's meeting, it was the trustees meeting for the retirement board, but we advertised your attendance so that if anybody wanted to attend to hear what you were going to say, then they could be there. And I think that's the part of it, of us advertising that your attendance and you're going to speak.
Okay.
So that the public can. To our benefit, it's, the city's already recording it, they're already taking minutes of the meeting and all of that, so they're meeting all of the other requirements of any meeting to meet those sunshine law requirements. So all we had to do was advertise your attendance and that takes care of it.
All right, and also, have we got somebody who's like going to spearhead this as far as the meeting goes? I mean, I can see us all getting up there and saying something, but I'd rather have it all condensed under one because if there's an issue, somebody gets sick or something happens, But another concern I'd have would be addressing some misconceptions about things that, I've seen in the public
Yes, sir.
as far as social media, about why are we even covering Crab Island and stuff that's out of our district, which, it's not, but,
Who's gonna
some
get the
people don't
call?
understand.
We are.
Somebody says something like that and then everybody believes it,
Mhm.
where we need to get some of those misconceptions out of there.
Yes, sir, we're putting together a presentation for that meeting. And once we have it, a pretty good solid outline of kind of what we're looking to present, I'll run it by each commissioner, get your input so that we can make sure every commissioner's concerns are addressed in that PowerPoint. And then if the board would like, my intent would be that I would give the presentation, but if any commissioner would like to do so, that would be okay with me. But we'll put it together and make sure that every concern that the commission has is addressed in that PowerPoint.
I'd rather somebody else do it beside me.
But I think it's good that we all kind of understand where we're going before we get there.
Mhm.
And a one-on-one with you, Chief, would help an awful lot. And to your point about Crab Island and others, I don't think anybody in that room realizes that our district and the city limits are not the same thing.
That's another thing to address, because a lot of people don't understand that, if I'm correct, Kelly Plantation or Regatta Bay are not in the city limits. Yet we are there in our district.
Right.
So, and as far as, and I think we need to, go in and show in our bylaws that, our charter from the state, that we are required by law to respond to swimming and boating accidents. Now, those don't just happen
On land.
on land.
Right.
Last time I
Well,
looked.
one of the things that we did back when we were, one of our ill-fated attempts at getting our rate cap lifted, and Sean was the guy that really delivered it, but we pulled together, here is the property that we have to protect, and here are the people, permanent and people we have to protect. Now, we use that for a different purpose, and we didn't discriminate in the city, not in the city, but we compared ourselves to other districts, okay? And that was one way to say, here's a district in mid-Florida that has, it's a waterfront district, beach, and it has $87 billion in property. We've got $130 billion of property. So yeah, our budget seemingly ought to be bigger than theirs, et cetera. I've asked for Catherine's help to get that same data updated, but parse it by city of Destin and unincorporated Oakland County. Because I think that they're all going to look at things like our reserves and everything else and think, well, why don't you just spend your money? And I think that my own personal opinion is that we either do it on land that we can get at a negligible cost, or we'll go buy some land and we can talk about building a station in 4 or 5 years. And that's really the choice we've got to make, I think. And, we made that point when we met with the city manager,
Yes, sir.
and it's a head scratcher because nobody thinks about it that way. But that we have to.
And well, they also looking at, the idea of us going back to the old station. Well, we can't go to the old station.
Right.
And you can't do nothing with the old station to make it where we can get in there if we want to.
Right.
That's been a lot of comments made on that. I mean, it's not like we just park a truck there and go home at night or whatever, We gotta have somewhere for our firefighters to sleep, somewhere for them to eat. It's just.
Lots changed since that station was built.
Well, and the idea of it is we can't do anything with it, because if I'm not, the crosstown corridor the big plans goes right through there.
Yes.
So,
It don't make sense.
and people don't understand that. So,
We'll be prepared.
but I like the idea of what Chief's got about getting some kind of,
Chief, there was I heard somewhere, there was someone that just got some waterfront property not far from Columbia Taylor Park that were willing to take off the landward piece, if you will, not the waterfront piece, and sell us whatever it was, a half acre or something like that. Did we ever go anywhere with that? Here's my thing, it'd be awfully nice to say, here's a piece of property, it would meet our needs, it'll cost us $980,000, and on that basis, based how quickly we accumulate impact fees, we can, we'll probably break ground in, 2028, something like that. So all of our friends and neighbors on the west side are just gonna have to be patient.
Yes, he was spending money on land or spending money on building.
Yes, sir. No, I do, I can't recall all the details, but I do remember, what you're talking about with the, roadside part of the property.
Right.
And then, and still leaving us access to the water with the dock. But I don't remember all the specifics of the details, but I made myself a note to do.
It would be good if we had a number, saying,
Yes, sir.
well, we did find a piece, here's what it would cost. And, you know, behind the library is not gonna work for reason A, B, C, D, E, but what we need, and it's very comparable to Columbia Taylor Park, is this, and we know what it costs. And yeah, we've got the money to pay for it, but that's all the money we got.
But I think that parcel that you're talking about don't have the access
To the water?
to the water. It just has the front part. And the person in the back part is elderly, and it may be available in the future.
By the time you get around to building a building.
It'd be.
Okay, just in the more facts like that we can have, rather than just waving our hands in the air, because there'll be plenty of that going on.
Yeah, comparing of, what a cost would be to a true piece of property, not an estimate, one that potentially is available.
But you'd still have to buy that waterfront
Right.
Or buy an easement to get there or
Have to buy
something.
the easement to get to it. Which they probably would. Whoever bought it.
Be an interesting night for sure.
Yeah, that would be a good discussion. Okay, is that all, Chief? on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving to the property adjacent to 117 Crystal Beach.
Yes, sir.
Drive.
Status hasn't changed.
What's the holdup,
I'm
other than what?
not sure about clearing up the title. I don't know if it's the title holdup or if it's the members of the trust or those individually. There was on that title, there are individuals listed as well as the trust, and that was part of the issue of clearing the title up so that the trust could sell it. And I think she is still in the process of trying to clean the title up, as well as make sure that, and what she's told me is all the feedback that she's received. There hasn't been anybody against selling that to us. So it's a combination of ensuring that all those are okay with it and then clearing the title up. Once she gets the clean title, then she can sell it to us. So I'll check with her.
Shouldn't take that long.
I wouldn't think so.
Have you talked to her by any chance?
I don't think he has, but I can ask for sure. He can.
Maybe we can get DC to touch
Get
base
involved.
with it and just, yeah.
I mean, I would do some title stuff, I'd be more willing to work with the chief to.
Yes, sir. I'll get you
Someone
in
to
there,
help out, just
please.
make a phone call.
Yes,
see-
sir.
see what-
If you would, I think that might help. So
I'll get that information tonight and do it tomorrow.
I'll get you the name and number.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, Fireboat Committee. Is that for you, Tom?
It's me and Chief and
And the battalions.
Battalion Chief Taylor. Do you want to?
Yes, sir.
You can explain it better than I can, but we pretty much come to an agreement on what we want to present to the board, that we feel like this is the best way to go. So
Yes, sir. What, we've been trying to, work with, we've gotten the quote from Legendary. And you remember we got, a fairly large estimate, which was what the insurance company received from Safeco, which kind of led them down the path of writing the boat off, totaling it. Then we have been working with Safeco to get a true and accurate quote, of what it's going to take to refurb this boat. So, even as of today, we were at $190,000 to refurb the boat. We went back to him and sharpened his pencil to get the number exact. And right before the meeting, I get a phone call from Battalion Chief Taylor that says he's right at 180. What we would like to ask of the commission with their approval so that we can move this forward is that if the commission would approve us to work with Safe Boat to refurb the boat at no more than the cost of the insurance payment that we shall receive from the company. Anticipated for that to be, once we purchase the boat back, $196,000. at 196,000 at the 190 mark, which is what they estimated, about $190,000 to refurb the boat. It gives us a buffer. They built in a buffer of 5 for anything that might come up, small stuff that might come up. They built that buffer in, and then there's a 6,000 buffer on the other side. So in total, we have about $11,000 buffer just from their 190 estimate. And we've worked with them a couple of things that got it down to around 180. So we asked the board to approve us to allow or to have Safe Boat refurb the boat, and the cost not to exceed the insurance payment. And that way we can get it sent up to them. Part of what we're looking at is that it's hard for them at a distance to really, they don't have eyes on the boat. Once they have it up there and have eyes on the boat, then they can look at it, and there may be ways where they might be able to, instead of, let's say as an example, cutting off, because right now they have an estimate to cut the T-top completely out, put a brand new one in its place and bolt it back into the boat. Instead of a partial, it's a refurb, they're taking it completely off, just like the collars, the motors, I mean, all the wiring, everything's being redone. But if we got up there and they said, well, we could just replace the top part of the T-top, which would save X number of dollars, that savings could then end up being able to put bow thrusters in if those bow thrusters, if their engineers approve the bow thrusters to be placed in the boat. So once they get it, they're going to be able to put eyes on it. We feel more comfortable sending it back to the original manufacturer who designed, engineered, and built the boat to ensure that it is as seaworthy as can possibly be and is being refurbed. There's no partial wiring done, it's all wiring redone. It's not a diesel motor, it's going to be a gasoline motor. It's going to be exactly what we had before, and it's a complete replacement. So they're taking the motor out, it's going to put a brand new pump motor in for the fire pump. And they're going to do the same thing with the fire pump itself. So that cost could come down once it could come down, but we want to say we're anticipating it's going to be around 190 if they do everything that based upon sight unseen going, replace all these pieces to refurb it is 190. So we anticipate it might be a little less, but if the board would approve it to no more than the insurance, then I think we're good. And if, when it gets up there, if they're able to put bow thrusters in and we're not able to, let's say, cut half the T-top off or some other adjustment to get the bow thrusters under that price, we would come back to the board at our next meeting and ask for that cost to be approved by the board if we needed those bow thrusters.
Will that delay the process of
I
getting it
don't
done?
think so, because we're anticipating, if this board approves it, we're gonna get it sent off just as soon as we can get a truck to send it. Because we'd like it back, obviously, as soon as possible, so we're gonna get it shipped off to get it in front of them, to let them truly assess the boat, you know, from
Do we not cap the, let's get it fixed, and if it goes over, unexpected things happen. Instead of this way, we have no limit, instead of saying 190, we can just say whatever it costs to fix it, and there's just more things wrong with it, fix it, with you fixing it, or if you want to add bow thrusters to it, it's gonna come over at 195, no sense coming back to us, just add it, no limit to it, and just get it done, just fix it.
It's also an upgrade of motors too.
They are, that price
On
doesn't
it,
look good.
I mean, we're looking at a 17-year-old boat, and to go back to the original manufacturer and get them to refurbish it, basically what we're getting is a new boat, and it won't cost us any more money.
And what you're asking us for is just to pursue that within the context of the insurance element.
Yes, sir.
And if we can't do that, then we'll hear from you again.
That's right, next meeting, and if we need it sooner than that, we'll call emergency meeting, or call it, or.
Because it's gonna take a week to get there or
Yes,
more.
sir.
And then a week to evaluate probably, and then order
That's right.
parts and do what it needs. So by the next meeting.
Right, they'll have it evaluated,
Yeah.
and there's nothing gonna hold them back from starting the
From starting the
process.
project.
And then
Yeah.
even if there's something else we needed to add on, like bow thrusters, they're already gonna be working on other stuff on this there. It's not like it won't be sitting there waiting on us to make a decision. They'll already be processing.
They're projecting 3 months, and
Right.
out of the summer, and even if we kept it here and repaired it, it'd be 2 months.
Yes.
So we're already out of summer.
Right.
So I don't think that's an issue.
I like the idea of going back to the original
Yeah, I think
manufacturer.
that's a sound plan.
I'm in agreement with that.
Do we need to go ahead?
We need a motion.
Yes, sir, we need a motion.
So move, to do everything.
Yeah.
Send the boat back to same boat.
At the insurance cost. Okay. Second. Okay. Any further discussion? See none, take vote, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Good job on doing the research and trying to work it down a little bit.
Yes, sir, the committee
Saves a little bit
did,
of money so we can use it. for
committee
something else.
did a lot of research and work on that, to try to get that price nailed down. So I appreciate their work on
But again, like you said, they gotta get their eyes on it, so,
it. Yes.
okay. All right, invitation to bid equipment for technical rescue team.
Yes, sir, you have that in front of you, I believe, technical rescue packet. Is that where you were?
That is further down in the agenda. That's under
Fire
new
Rescue
business.
Committee, yeah, those are
Oh, I'm
uniforms.
sorry. I'm sorry. I've always been accused of being ahead of myself. Okay. Chief's reports, speed safety update.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Joe.
How's everybody? The lifeguard at Harbor 9, we've rescued 2 people on July 2nd, 2020. Harbor 9 has rescued 27 of the 96 patrons recorded by Beach Safety. That's pretty easy lifeguard math. I figured that out on my own. It's about 28%. So it's a lot of people out of what we're doing. Total is coming from the harbor. Holiday weekend, we had 0 rescues by beach lifeguards. We, through the hiring, through the shifting of gears, what we did for the younger lifeguards, we've actually got a really good group. So we're doing really good things with that younger group of lifeguards. We are in our first session of junior lifeguards. The last I counted, we had 38. Is it up to 40? I know that kind of changes now. So we have 38 junior lifeguards on the beach. Just looking at the statistics, they're kind of all over the place. Obviously, with attendance is down because of the 0 month. But if you have any questions on the statistics, I did have one more thing that's kind of popped up since I filed this or put this report in. One of the vehicles that we did get from the county is already, it's only 4 months in service, and it's already getting its first major repair. So that's kind of what we're dealing with them getting those lesser quality vehicles. I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. I know it's not on the agenda, and we can't.
Mechanical failure or an
It's a
accident?
belt. No, it's a mechanical, and it's not warranted either. And we were advised by Can-Am not to get that model, and that's the model, unfortunately, that we have.
That kind of shows.
They kind of chose for us. So I
Well,
did
we
want to
need
bring.
Make note of that when it comes time to negotiate again. Joe, I haven't noticed any jellyfish yet. Have y'all on the beach or anything seen it?
Yes, I think right now what we're having is, we've had a little bit more of, I hate to call it proper sea lice, but there is a smaller jellyfish right now. You can barely see it. That'll kind of make you a bit
Okay.
itchy, but it's a decent ways off the shore. But other than that, we haven't seen a lot of jellyfish at all.
I've
But
noticed the water's been a lot colder.
yes.
It
Yeah.
was warm in February, March, and then all of a sudden it flipped.
Actually, that's actually a lot. It's flipped. The top 15 feet, sometimes it's even 5 feet, is typical summer type, 86-degree water. The bottom is in the 70s. People are catching cobias.
Maybe
It's
it's
peculiar.
time for the hurricane.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe it'll
It's-
keep them away.
Yeah, it's cold water on the bottom of the Gulf right now on
Yeah.
our beaches, within 5, 6, 7 miles of the beach.
Any questions for Joe? Thanks, Joe. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Training report, Chief.
Yes, sir. You'll see they got in 30, the guys in 31 hours in June. Variety of subjects under the headings of company training and target solution being our online training solution that we utilize. And then especially training that is some hazmat hands-on training, 2 days worth at 16 hours. But 31 hours is great. When we look for 20, they're doing 31, which is wonderful.
and the sheriff yesterday got some hands-on training.
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't training, but
Yeah.
they absolutely got some live fire training yesterday. Yeah, although fortunate, it wasn't through the roof and going to
Is
beat
the-
the band.
I noticed we had one that went to the hospital.
Yes,
Is she
sir,
okay?
unfortunately.
Was she okay?
Yes, sir. They're okay. Yesterday afternoon, for some reason, it was hotter than it was at noon. It was just kind of, I don't know what caused it, but I know that at the time that that call came in, it just seemed much more humid, and just hot. And the fire itself was kind of difficult, because it was first floor, spread to the second floor, got in the attic, in between the floors and that kind of thing. So there was a lot of work that was involved, which is, I mean, that's what we do. But in the heat, going through two bottle change, which is our norm, we use one bottle, then go to the second bottle, and then go to rehab after that. They ended up going through three because of the difficulty of trying to locate it, extinguish it. Took a lot longer than we anticipated, which kept our guys in their gear a lot longer, which a lot of the guys became a little dehydrated, and one of them ended up having to be transported, and the others we were able to rehydrate there on scene, and they continued to work the rest of the shift. But only one ended up being transported, and then once was released from hospital, ended up taking several IV bags. But once they were released from hospital, we excused them and told them to go home and get some rest before they come back next shift. Yeah, and no injuries, no injuries to the public or anything. Everybody got out, that kind of thing, safe. And when you look at it from the outside, the structure itself doesn't look bad. Inside though is,
That's concrete structure, wasn't it, on the sides?
stucco.
Stucco?
It's
Oh,
pretty thick and stucco. Yeah, it's difficult to cut with.
Any questions on training?
But 31 hours is really
That's
good for the
good.
guys. That's
Yeah.
11 more than what we
Normally
have to
do.
require.
Good job. All right, moving into the inspection report. Fire Marshal Taylor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you got the report in front of you. Be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So they're starting to break ground on that one apartment complex by Big Hoons.
Yes, yeah,
Or
That's what-
clearing it, trying to get to it. or whatever.
that's where they had an incinerator burn going a while back. So all that's cleared off now and they are starting to go forward with it.
How many units was that again?
280, something like that.
What, Vintage?
No. This is beside Big Kahuna's. It's
Another apartment complex.
well, it's gonna be single family homes.
Okay.
Yeah, but they'll be like duplexes and stuff like that.
Is Vintage complete now?
No, Vintage has got 3, 4, 5 buildings complete. Still got 6 more to go. So
Anything else? Thank you, Fire Marshal Taylor, for coming in. All right, overtime report, Chief.
Yes, sir. As you'll see reflected in the report, there were only really 2 overtime shifts that were required for the month, so not bad. A little more than what we've seen in the past couple of months, but two in the span of 30 days is not bad.
Any questions on that? No? All right, new business, assignment and assumption of telecommunication lease agreement.
Yes, sir. DC and I can speak to this particular topic. If you'll remember, back,
Oh,
I got it here in 13, the county had asked us, because the radio system that we're currently utilizing is the SLUR system, State Law Enforcement Radio System. And the reception in Destin is poor at best. They asked if we would apply for a assistance to firefighters grant, AFG grant. The county could not because they don't have a fire department, they can't apply for it, so they had to ask a fire department to sponsor it and take it on. We did. As you know, we went through, at the end of the day, we now have an antenna that didn't cost the the district, any funds from our ad valorem taxes. The grant was 80%, the county picked up the other 20%. So there was actually no cost to put that tower in. The intent at the time was that at some point the state would take it over. We had kind of hoped that it would have been taken over within the first year of it being up and operational. That has not happened. However, the state has approached us here within the last few months about taking the lease over for that at One Water Place, so that they are now taking our place on the lease with One Water Place. The significance of it is that the state then will be responsible for the maintenance of that tower, where the county had been, and then when the sheriff took it over, they are taking between the county and the sheriff, who's going to maintenance, and anyway, it's not being taken care of. I think that's why I kind of urged the state to take it on, so that that tower could be maintained if they take it under their umbrella, which is what this is all about, the state taking it over, taking it under their umbrella, and then they'll pay for the routine maintenance that's required to keep it up. So we would like to get ourselves out of the lease, turn it over to the state, let the state take it on. I think at the end of the day, the equipment didn't cost us anything, and if the state's willing to take it on, we're okay with them. I'm okay with them taking over the equipment as well. Again, it didn't cost us anything, but it is on our books. We'll probably come to you next meeting if this is approved and ask for the commission to dispose of that equipment and turn it over to the state as this agreement has in it. In the event that that lease is ever canceled, then the state would be responsible for removing it all, as it would be theirs instead of us. So we like to share it.
Make the motion to approve the telecommunication agreement.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Good. Dana, you want to go? That's a good deal.
Yes, sir.
That is good. Okay, invitation to bid equipment for technical rescue team.
As most of the commission is aware, after we put our first group of firefighters through our technical rescue series, which was, as you know, a bunch of classes, and they come out with the rescue specialist certification through the state in 5 different specialties. We then needed to have the equipment to be able to support those individuals' training to be able to accomplish it in the event we had any type of rescue in those 5 specialties. So we needed the specialized equipment to come along with it. So we went out and put an RFP out for all the different types of equipment that's listed. We only received 2 bids back. One of them was only a partial, 10-8 only bid certain equipment. The other one, the other Central Alabama CATS, they supply a lot of rescue teams with equipment. They have a warehouse that has some equipment, a lot of this equipment already in it. They're the ones that bid everything. What I'd like to ask the commission, because without this equipment, we can't perform the rescues of those guys, those 5 specialties they have, from structural collapse to trench rescue, confined space, all that. Without the equipment, they have a ton of training, but they can't keep the training up, and they can't perform those type of rescues that occur. So the necessity of the equipment is absolutely there. We have already purchased the trailer. The trailer's here. Now we need the equipment to be able to house that, so that way we can go about doing any of those rescues and keeping our guys' training up and current. So what we would ask the commission, instead of going through each item with the commission and saying we prefer to buy this one here or this one here is the best, if the commission would approve for the team to purchase the best equipment for needed for the rescue team, and not to exceed any specific, the amount bid on any specific line item. I think that was better than saying the overall total amount, but if we went by each line item, if we're going to purchase it, we don't exceed the one that is the highest one that might have been bid. If you would allow us to do that, then I can have the team itself say, this is the best piece of equipment for that specific need, and they can make that purchase. Some of this, although when we put this list out, we had a rescue tools list, and we just bid the whole list. Now, not all of that's gonna be purchased through these two vendors. If we say a round tip shovel, we're probably gonna go to Home Depot, Lowe's, or a local operator and buy that from them, tape measure, those kind of things. I don't see the need necessarily buying it there, but those other pieces we will, whether it's a strut that were needed to be able to kind of use in trench rescue, or what, that's what it really is needed in this. So what we're asking is that we be able to purchase the equipment that's needed for the specialized rescue team, and not to exceed either a overall number, if the board would like to set that, or by any particular line item and not exceeding the highest bid that was of the two.
Most of the items, we only have one bid.
Correct, yes, sir.
I have
Yes,
all
sir.
the list where we got a particular item, we had bids from both, and there are a few that are, in one case, one's much higher, like communications, for
That's-
example.
That's what sticks out.
Only
Yes.
1,000 versus 9,000.
Yes.
But there's only a couple of those.
Right,
And the rest of them, they're, within spitting distance of each other.
yes, sir.
So, okay. Is there any advantage in buying this from one vendor? Can we get any sort of concession or discount or whatever you want to call
I
it?
guess maybe service, if some of this larger items, I guess, can get serviced by them maybe? If it breaks
I
down.
have to check on the service. 10.8 is, we buy a lot of stuff from 10.8, and I say that meaning like we buy apparatus, and they sell apparatus as well. And we'll buy some smaller equipment from them. And they can typically get some of that service, not necessarily directly at their shop, but they can have it sent off to the manufacturer, that kind of thing. But I would think that Central Alabama and Birmingham, which is where their offices are, could do the same thing. And they're close. One's in Bradenton, one's in Birmingham.
I mean, if the electric demolition hammer goes out, I mean, we go to the manufacturer, we can send it back to these guys and
And then they will probably send it off to the
Replace it.
manufacturer, right? Either replace it
Yeah.
or send it off to the manufacturer.
generate it, whatever.
Right?
I would think they would.
Either one would be able to do that, yes.
That's why I'd recommend just going with one vendor on everything.
Right. I think we've learned that. We're getting ready to learn it again with our equipment on the beach.
Mhm.
We've got floater sports and.
That's why I kind of wanted to make sure that when I was trying to say it, is that we got the best of, and the team would be able to determine, it's like Joe would on an ATV, they'd be able to determine which piece is best. It might not be the most expensive one, but they would be able to determine which one is the better. And yeah, most of the time that better is gonna cost a little bit more, but based upon the needs of the team. I know that Captain Landis and I sat down with Commissioner Wilson to kind of get his thoughts on a lot of this several months ago. And we kind of talked a little about, there is a smaller teaching package, if you want to call it that. It's really not a team package as this is, but a smaller teaching package was about $150,000, which is why you see the difference in the cost of this. This is more of a team package. That's why it's over 250, around 250 is what you're seeing. And that overall price comes from Central Alabama Training, comes from them. And because they supply a lot of the USAR teams with their equipment. That's how they were able to do the whole list.
I wouldn't have a problem. The one we got complete was 250, so just I make a motion to go up to 250 and get it what's needed for the specialized equipment and get it where they feel the other ones are going to use it, and as long as it's good, it's going to last. I'd rather have the right stuff, kind of like the defibrillators. I didn't want secondhand. I wanted the good new stuff for warranty purposes and stuff like that, so it'll work when we need it. So I wouldn't have a problem making a motion going up to 250.
I heard that.
Questions?
Yes.
Is this impact money?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Was there a second? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yes, it was
Wilson.
Jackie.
Wilson made a
Everybody did.
I figured the only way to get to my question, I seconded the motion. So this would further impair our ability to move forward on the west end. You were not successful with the city.
That's correct.
Or to put it another way, heighten even that much more, we need help from the city. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
And we'll probably come to you for the trailer here, not before too long. I think Ms. Catherine and I kind of talked, that'll probably end up, because it's gonna be a $40,000 to $50,000 item, that'll end up in next year's budget, but we'll be coming to you even though, to get the approval, and then we'll make the purchase in next year.
3/4 ton truck?
It's gonna be, it's probably gonna be a 450 to 550.
Oh, okay.
Have we settled in on the logo to go on the trailer yet?
I was just talking with the captain and the battalion, right before this meeting. We're going to move forward with that artist, and probably bring him under contract, for him to finish his design. He did a very quick drawing, which didn't cost us anything. But in order, what we're going to do is pursue him so we can get the copyright on all of it so that it's ours. Once he draws it, everything he's going to do is going to be ours. So that's going to cost us, but at the same time, it is ours. Once it's done, it'll be copyrighted. We'll have all the rights to it and everything.
This is, what happened to the firefighter that was gonna design it?
Oh, he's good, but the guy we're doing now, I mean, that's kind of, this is a little out of his ballpark.
Is it?
So it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit more complicated, intricate, as Jack's kind of seen it. I think it's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Logo.
Chief, what I think about a lot too is that this equipment and the visibility of this
Yes, sir.
will do a huge amount for the image of this department,
I agree.
mostly outside our district. I mean, it's gonna get called out on, crises and
Yes, sir.
hurricanes and all other stuff.
Right.
And I think we gotta make it look decent. And I think it's gonna speak well for us to get the Police Heart team out there, have a great trailer all wrapped and all that stuff.
Yep.
Very professional.
Yes. That's why we're listening to an artist that, I mean, he's got and I'll make sure that you guys get a link. He's got an Instagram or Facebook or something, so you can see a lot of the work that this guy's done. And he's local, and he's actually friends with the other guy that's the artist for us.
Okay.
So he's the guy that actually put us on this guy to draw it, because he went, let's let this guy do it, he's better.
I thought it was pretty cool to have one of our firefighters do it.
Oh, no, he's done a lot of stuff for us, but I think he wants to turn it over to this one. I think it's-
So I got a motion to approve going with Central Alabama Training Solutions, or just
No.
carte blanche to get?
250, and then they can pick, the team can pick what they need to get for their specialized.
Okay, I got you, all right. And I got a second, any further discussion? Yes,
Yeah, I second.
Yeah. All right, take a vote, all in favor?
Thank y'all so much. I know the guys are gonna be very appreciative of
Yeah,
that.
Chief, at some time, I mean, as a commissioner, I'd love to hear it, but I bet everybody would. If we could get just a 15-minute presentation by the team
Yes, sir.
to the commission on, because this is a pretty major expansion
Yes,
of
sir.
our capability. And explain to us all the different things that the urban search and rescue teams do.
Demonstration. That's demonstration.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gonna bury you in a ditch and they're gonna dig you out.
I heard about it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, yes, sir, I'll make sure, I'll get that at the upcoming meeting for us.
The other thing that I really got on board with this was too, as a recruiting tool.
Yes, sir.
Right. That's what we talked about. We want the best. We want to give them the best training. So I'm on board. All right, any further discussion on it? All right, seeing then, budget workshop for 2020-21 fiscal year schedule.
Yes, sir, I'll turn that over to Ms. Catherine, let her kind of run through our proposed budget.
The budget, which was presented at the last meeting, has been adjusted only for the junior lifeguard program. As costs go up, wages, insurance, so forth, we've needed to adjust the program, raise the price by $25 for the 2021 summer season. So that, at this point, are the only adjustments that have been made to the budget, which was previously presented. By hearing the discussion on the boat repair taking 3 months, I do anticipate coming before the board at the next meeting in August with an adjustment to carry the refurb cost over into the upcoming year. So there's no vote or anything that's needed, but if you have any input on any changes or recommendations, now would be the time.
Have we had the insurance company pay us for the boat show?
No, we have not. Kind of as Battalion Chief Taylor has been working back and forth with the vendors, I have been back and forth with the insurance company finding out what's going on. We don't have a check. We don't have an item. I don't have communication with them. So I have our broker involved at this point, trying to get communication. I'm not sure what's happening with the carrier.
Everything else looks pretty good. See anything, Tom? Everything okay? All right, moving on to, the next meeting will be, regular meeting will be August 11th, 2020, 5:30 p.m. And this will also include the budget workshop. I would just like to say a couple things. I want to congratulate Commissioner Green for going unopposed.
And you too.
And me too. So that's nice. So we got another 4 years with you guys, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity.
And I can stay with Reese Schwartz because I've been here 20 years too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've actually been a little longer than he is. I think you came on, we're lucky before we were hired. But it was right about the same time. Yes, sir.
Yeah. We saw Reese grow up that much.
Yes.
Good deal. But I also like to recognize Bob Flynn. Today I found out that they had a first responders luncheon over at Faith Assembly Church, sponsored by Central 21 Blue Marlin Pelican, and they were having a drawing for a free home air conditioner with complete install, and Bob was the lucky guy.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's pretty awesome.
That's,
So I'm glad he was able to attend and go and win. So happy for him.
Lucky guy.
Yes,
sir.
So anything else you want to come to the commission? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all so much. Ms. Council.